Welcome
Welcome
to
to
Shade in
Shade
the
in the
City.
City.
I'm your girl, Treese.
It's Nels.
And today we're doing our review of Ready to Love, Season 7, Episode 12, Too Much Baggage. Now, if you have not already, please make sure that you hit that like button.
And that subscribe button.
And y'all, let's get into it because we're getting down to the thick of it. And let's see what's going on with these connections. And let's get shady. Tommy meets with the final four.
They finally left the church, y'all.
They finally left the church. And he meets with the final four men in the gentleman's lounge and asks them how they're feeling about their connections since the getaway. And asks if any feelings have changed. Now, Andre said that it's been extremely difficult for him because he has two qualified women, Cynthia Jeffrey, and is still unsure of who to choose. Now, nephew Tommy instructs the men to introduce their connections to their family because he wants, family is supposed to keep it real. So he wants, to bring in reinforcements. Now, Andre says that's going to be a nerve-wracking process for him introducing his connections to his family, and his sister especially might have a lot to say. So then Tony invites his sister Regina to meet Morgan. He says his sister has never stirred him wrong. He tells her that he's met someone and believes that she's the one. Regina chuckles and responds, everyone is the one. Well, damn, Tony, is what my note says. Your sister is telling on you.
Right.
Now, Morgan walks in and immediately sees the resemblance between Tony and his sister. She's hopeful that she can offer some advice on how to deal with Tony. And basically, Morgan tells Regina that Tony is a man's man. And that's been one of the things that she loves. But it's also one of the biggest obstacles that they face. And she wants to know how to get him to come down from his macho man mentality and soften up a little bit. She shares that she told Tony she would be interested in talking to somebody to work on their communication. And Regina was like, so y'all going to counseling? You mean counseling? That's what you mean? And she says, she don't like that. She don't like that. And the only reason I'm going to say, I understand how maybe our community may feel about counseling, but I think it's more of the fact that you still have a choice. And if you're already considering counseling,
I
don't need to be
because nephew Tommy said the same thing. So I don't think it's the fact that it's about counseling. It's about the fact that it's so early on. And it's like, why are you fighting so hard to make this work if it ain't working?
Right. And basically she says, but it's for their communication skills. Morgan says it's an aggressive process, so she has to be aggressive with seeing, if some of the red flags she sees can be worked through. And if not, she's gone. Now, Morgan knows leaving their date that his sister thinks it's alarming and that, that they're open to counseling. And she agrees that it is alarming. However, communication is not his strong point, but she don't want to throw the whole man away. And Regina tells Tony she likes her, but can't say whether she likes Morgan for Tony.
So Anthony took Cynthia to meet his little cousin, Chris, who he says is like his little brother. Chris asked him, what doesn't he like about Cynthia and what does he like? He said the only thing he don't like is the baby daddy, James. He doesn't believe that he's evolved and grown. Cynthia gets there, hugs him, and says, hello, husband. I said, oh,
okay.
That's what we doing. Now, Chris says, basically, he wants to know about her because I think she was trying to ask questions. He said, no.
He was like, how are you? Tell me about you. He was like, no.
We asked questions about you. And he was like, and I've been briefed. Okay, so tell me about James.
Right. He got right to it.
She like, what about James? Like, this is the whole ex. What you want to know? And he said, I heard he's a little rough. She says that he's not someone to really worry about. She also says that her past doesn't dictate her future, and she handles what needs to be handled. She said she knows Anthony is goal oriented. He works a lot, and he's a great father and has a social life. Apparently, he was set up for the okie doke because.
Right.
So Anthony basically says that she set him up for the okie doke because she know damn well he don't go out. He don't go nowhere. Chris says he really has to beg Anthony to go out, and sometimes he still don't come. Cynthia said he's coming with me. Okay. Basically, look, he's coming with me.
Okay.
And Chris decided, he liked her. He likes Cynthia. Everybody does.
I've said he felt some type of way because he was like, you must really love her. I gotta beg you to come out, and now you just going out just to be with her.
Guess what? There's things that she can do for you so that you just can't. Okay. Now Andre invited his sister and niece out. When Cynthia arrived, immediately she got nervous when she saw basically that it was women. She like, hold on, I know I can smooth men over, but Jesus, okay. Now, Camila asked her, Camila's a sister, asked her, being 37 with kids, does she want to have any more? She said, yeah, 2 and a dog. That's what she's willing to give. Andre says, basically, Cynthia, he says that he feels like his sister and Cynthia are getting along okay, but it is the calm before the storm. Then Jeffrey shows up, and she wasn't very happy to see that Cynthia was already there. She was feeling some type of way.
It messed up her introduction.
Girl, I don't think that it would have made a difference. Okay. Cynthia said that she came in with a mom dress on. She said sleeves to her wrist, collar to her neck, and dress to the floor.
Dress to the ankles, yeah.
I said, Jesus.
He said, who is this person?
Yeah, she's like, who the hell is this? Now, Camila jumped right in and said, 31 with 3 kids, that's more of a liability than an asset. I saw. Jesus Christ. She said there's no father in their lives. So
they're going to be expecting Andre to be their daddy.
She said coming in as a male with no kids, he's going to be putting that role.
To the table?
Exactly. Jeffrey says she's every single thing that a man could want. Let me tell you something. When I tell you aggravation was all over these women's faces, the sister just looked away.
The niece Jasmine is like, she looked at Cynthia. It's your turn now.
Yeah, she said, go ahead. And look, the sister just looked like, she's like, really? Is it like, that's what she said? So Cynthia. So Cynthia says that she has 2 masters, 2 bachelors, and 2 businesses, and her kids are good. And right. He wouldn't have to be no stepdaddy. He would be a bonus dad. Now they both said that Cynthia would be the better pick, but really
she's not feeling either one.
Camila ain't feeling either one. She feels like it's too much baggage. It's too much baggage.
Tony is taking Morgan on a 101 to discuss the meeting with her sister and him bringing up counseling. Now, he says this concerns him a little, while Morgan says that she thinks Tony hasn't realized the weight of some of the things that he's done. And we learned that recently he put Morgan in a compromising situation with another woman. He wants, now, first of all, here's my thing. I'm like the sister at this point. If we're already going through all this and we're not even like official yet,
move on.
Right. But okay, girl. So he wants to jump right in because he's direct, as we know, and talks about how her bringing up counseling alarmed the sister. Morgan can understand, but as she stated, this is an aggressive process, and she's open to it because she feels they have potential to make a strong couple. Outside of sexual potential, I want to see what Morgan sees because I'm not seeing far past that at this point. Now, she shares that she has her concerns as well, They've had a rocky road, and she questions, how does she know the things he says and promises to her are accurate? He says she's going to have to see and find out. He ain't even making you no promises. He said, you just wait and see. Now, Morgan lets him know right now she's questioning it, and he thinks that that's fair. So she explains that he says and does things that are unbecoming of a man. Tony is confused, and she brings up his entanglement with Natasha. Now, I don't know if y'all remember Natasha, our first girl to go home, first one to get eliminated. She says she'll be damned if she looks like the stupid one. And Tony admits in his confessional that after Natasha was eliminated, things happened between them. And Morgan thanks him for being honest, but says the fact that he went for the lowest hanging fruit that went home the first night is sad. And I said, what's sad is that you're attacking this woman versus realizing that he's a thought.
When she said, I was like, what is making her the lowest hanging fruit?
Right. If anything, you just dealt with the man that had the lowest hanging dick and was ready to put it into anything. Let's talk about that. Let's channel your energy in the right place, Morgan. Okay? So Morgan says that she knew this but didn't speak on it before, but felt the need to now because of the decisions Tony makes, and questions, is he concerned about who he puts his friendly man into. Okay? Now, Tony wants to backtrack, but says he will not allow Morgan to sit there and degrade Natasha. And he's right. Because clearly she wasn't that bad of a woman if I slept with her. So what I'm not going to let you.
And clearly you don't really care about my choices because I'm choosing you.
He says she's a beautiful Morgan. I mean, a beautiful Morgan. He says she's a beautiful woman. And Morgan says she's not. He tries to go in, and Morgan says she's not about to sit and listen to him defend her. He tells Tony to move forward, or she tells Tony to move forward. And Tony admits that he's a man with faults, but told her the truth because he respects and cares for her that much. He's a complicated man, and no one understands him but his woman.
Did he say that?
No, I'm just.
I ain't think so. I was supposed to say. May says that he has a pretty strong connection with both Mercedes and Jeffrey. But Jeffrey's been pretty distant lately, and he doesn't feel comfortable introducing anyone to his family when they're not 100% on board.
Okay.
So he invited her for a one-on-one date to find out what's been going on. He mentions that things have been a little fractured between them since the house, and they haven't really talked much. Now, she says for her, it's starting to get harder, splitting up her time between the two. And it made her feel like it didn't make her feel right or like she was being honest. She tells him there's nothing negative that she can say about him at all. He's amazing. But for her, it feels like it's wrong timing. She says she's a little scared because of the babies. And she believes that he would try his best, but she's scared to take that risk. Now, in a confessional, he felt some type of way because, he said that he initially came in thinking that way.
Said, but I changed for you. I'm not wilding out like I used to. I don't do the
don't know that.
I used to no more. He was trying to change for that girl. Nell said it. She said it last review. And I was like, but Nell's called it.
So basically he tells her that she's amazing and he thinks Dre is a good guy, not as good as him. But he says that he wished things were different and he'll always appreciate her. And she says they may not be a couple, but they'll always be friends. So then May invited Mercedes to talk to his cousin, Chris, who's like a brother to him.
Everybody got a cousin, Chris.
That's like a brother to them.
Mm-hmm.
But this is over Zoom.
But what's so funny? And I may be wrong, isn't Anthony Haitian and Mark Anthony Haitian, and they both got a cousin named Chris? It's like they were okay.
Let's make sure they ain't the same cousin Chris.
Right.
Okay. And basically he invites Mercedes over and he let it know, it's only Mercedes. You see who I didn't invite? Jeffrey.
I applaud him for making some strong decisions. I don't know if he made it or it was made for him, but the point is, I can appreciate.
I think it was made for him.
Being selective in who his family meets. I do appreciate that.
Now Mercedes sits down. Well, he Islander girl. They ain't playing that mess.
Yeah, they don't play those.
Just bringing anybody. So Mercedes sits down. Huh?
You don't want that rut on you.
And they put Chris on Zoom. And she's like, "You look like you're ready." He's like, "I am. Have you been married before?" We're just jumping right in it. Jesus Christ. She said she's not been married before. She's never been engaged. And he feels like, okay, we're getting off to the right foot. So he asked her, what is marriage to her? She said unconventional. She wants to enjoy and be friends with her partner. She says she knows she's going to, fall into the traditional role with him. She got to be the woman. He got to be the man. But she want to be able to drop the kids off and go get lit with her man.
Mercedes. I was like, look, girl, wait till you have kids. That's going to be the best time of your life when you drop them. I'll be like, yes.
Time to go. Now, she said marriage is not a must for her in a relationship, but commitment is. So Chris said, their family's from New York. Y'all are living in New York, in Florida right now. But how do you feel about doing long distance or, moving back to New York or moving around? And she said, honestly, it scares her. She has an unconventional job.
Right. So she'll make it work.
And he seems worth it. But it's not, but it's something she'd have to think about because that ain't easy. Now she thinks the date went good, but hearing that Mark Anthony may want to move back to New York, it's kind of putting her on pause a little bit.
Girl, they got, your airline got the direct flights from Miami to New York, JFK, girl. Stop playing. Everybody got that route on their airline. Stop playing, girl. You could make it work if you want to. You could be there every day, literally. Stop playing with us.
You're so silly. But Chris liked her, as MA knew that he would. Anthony, my fave, okay?
Anthony out here doing it, boy. I literally saw this scene and I looked at my dude and I said, why you ain't never
seen it?
No flowers and champagne. No, I was watching and I just told him and I was like, why have you never set up a cabana with flowers and champagne on the beach? I don't understand why I've never gotten this. I mean, maybe
if they want to, they will, girl. So Anthony invited Cynthia on an intimate date on the beach in the cabana with roses and champagne. He feels like it's time to let his feelings be known.
You were missing food, Anthony.
Yeah, he could have had like some fruit or some meat and cheese.
He could have had a charcuterie board, a little small. And my boo would have done that. He would have.
He definitely would have. Well, it could be a little sketchy on the beach.
You're right. Because once some birds start coming for you.
He may have known better.
Right.
You know what?
Right. I've learned my lesson with the birds too. You're right.
Maybe he was like, things go right. We can go do something after this or something. But yeah, not on the beach. So, she said she was excited that he greeted her with her favorite color roses. And then, she was super excited when she saw all the roses all over the cabana. She's like, okay, sir. She was like, look at you romancing me. Like, this is what we doing? She was like, this is what it's going to be like being with you.
Right.
But of course.
Because I'm going to need this every day.
Well, not this every day, but
not every day, but you can't just be doing this.
We need this creativity all the time. Okay. So basically she says that she's never done this before and she's happy like doing it with him. So he asked her, how does life look like with her outside of this journey? She said it would be great because they connect on so many levels. They're both great parents. They understand what it takes to be successful within their career and balancing family and career and them. Now, he surprised her with a foot
massage. Is a smooth talker.
They both are.
No, but even when she goes to she's a smooth talker.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. She's listening.
That girl got game. That girl got game.
That girl good. That girl good.
Yeah, that girl good. That girl good.
So he surprised her with a foot massage. And let me tell you something. I love Cynthia to death. But if my feet look like that, I would have never let them be shown. My shoulders hurt and not my feet. But she did try to hide it at one point. He went for one foot. She said, She covered up the other foot and she's like, here, do this one.
She probably wears a lot of heels.
What do I mean? He thanks her for coming out, and she says that she does have other connections, but sees a lot of potential in him.
The guys are walking into the last elimination, and moods are mixed, according to Andre, because he still hasn't made a solidified decision. Now, they start to share about their dates. Anthony talks about his cousin Chris meeting Cynthia and coming in hard with the questions, which he wanted, but he liked her in the end. Inmate tells that his cousin Chris says that Mercedes is a good shawty. And Tony tells about his sister Regina meeting Morgan and her alarm bells going off when she mentioned counseling. Now, Tommy questions him, counseling? And Tony says he thinks Morgan used the wrong words and she meant coaching, not counseling.
Tommy said it's the same damn thing.
Tommy points out she said counseling, though, and tells him coaching and counseling is the same damn thing, as Snail said. Then he brings up how she asked about his entanglement with Natasha. Now, obviously, Tommy is a bit confused and questions, what the hell are you talking about?
What entanglement, sir?
Right. So Tony explains how Natasha threw her number at him after the first mixer. He was seeing her after she was eliminated. And so Tommy stops him and questions, so you broke my rule. Let's just be clear. And I'm not going to lie to you. In this moment, I felt like I'm going to just be honest. He probably should have got eliminated from the process. And the fact that he sat up there like a Cheshire cat smiling and didn't get no punishment for breaking the rules, I just felt like you're just teaching him that there's no consequences to his actions. That's just it seemed very male identified. Anyway, so basically he admits that, he did. And Tony said things happened. And he shares that they were intimate with each other. And he shared that with Morgan. Tommy wants to focus on him and Morgan and making sure that she still feels good about their connection. When he asks how they are, he says that he thinks they're doing good, but doesn't sound sure. And Tommy says, you need to make sure that nothing is bothering Morgan. And he said, because we know what happens when things bother Morgan. Okay? So Tommy asked if anyone else broke his rules, and none of the other men had this issue. And so Andre shares about how he introduced Jeffrey and Cynthia to his niece and sister. He tried to warn her to be delicate and gentle, but that didn't happen. He says he wasn't cool with Cynthia. She wasn't cool with Cynthia having 2 kids.
I love how he only brought up Cynthia.
No, and then he brings up that she really didn't like Jeffrey at all.
But nephew Tommy said that. He was like, oh, but Cynthia has 2
what about
kids.
Jeffrey? And
but what about Jeffrey? She got 3. Like, and he was like, oh, she didn't really like her at all.
Yeah, and that's all he said about that. But however, it's still his decision. He tells Andre he needs to figure out who he's leaning towards in the end. And Dre knows that he has 2 connections, and at this point, someone must go. Cynthia says she's going into this date with Andre, and she's a little bit nervous because she knows it could be a potential elimination date. Now, Andre asks how things have been going, and she says it's been a lot.
A whole lot.
A lot. So Andre, as he was saying, it's been a lot. He admits that he feels like this is the end of the road. And Cynthia isn't his top connection. So he already knew what his decision was. He tells her they both have other connections. And Cynthia, I think, just knew. And see, she's such a player from the Himalayas.
She really is.
That
listen, I knew she was good, but after that whole candle thing, I said, oh, no, this girl playing. She
said she has 2 of the greatest guys, but doesn't believe that Andre has 2 of the greatest girls. She realizes he's having trouble picking between her and Jeffrey and questions if he's blind. She feels like it's like choosing between a rock and a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond.
Like, what is wrong with this boy?
Now, Andre asks if she sees him fitting in her life, and she knows they look good together and physical attraction is important, but that's not the only thing. She says she sees his heart and has seen it from the beginning on their first date, which I'm not going to lie, that was there. She tells him they connected in a way that she didn't connect with anybody. She says that they have an emotional connection, and he's seen her cry multiple times, and she doesn't share that with everybody. But she does share it with him. Now, he tells her he feels comfortable talking to her all the time. Cynthia said, has him in a loop, basically. And her smile resonates with him. I said, He knows he has to make a decision. And she asks if he is. And Andre knows he was supposed to eliminate Cynthia, but he couldn't do it.
He couldn't do it.
And feels like this is about matters of the heart. And both of them are more confused than they were when they walked in.
I think he's more confused.
And I'm going to be honest with you, this is kind of confusing because I'm kind of I feel like she should go with Anthony. I feel like that's her person.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like she connects with Dre. She really did get, in my opinion, two of probably, I mean, I can't deal with the shag. That would be an automatic elimination for me. But, you know, you like what you like.
Listen, it's Anthony for me.
I don't know. Drop down in the comments. Tell us what you think, Shade Squad. But let us get out of here. Like again, before the windstorm blows us away. You might have seen some technical difficulties going on in the video. If you guys have not already, please make sure that you hit that like button.
You comment.
You subscribe.
And you hit the notification bell.
And make sure that y'all catch us next week because they're making it sound like it's about to be the finale. Like they're just going to end it all in one big bang. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be exciting. I would love to see what Cynthia decides. As well as what Andre decides. And I'm almost here like, what's going to happen to poor little Jeffrey and the babies? But anyway, yeah, y'all.
Or Anthony.
Anthony going to be all right.
He definitely gonna be all right.
He gonna be all right. If he don't find somebody gonna find him. Right.
Come rest right here.
You need a shoulder.
I'll make it all better.
You heard me? You need a shoulder. There's plenty out here, Anthony. All right. Y'all have a good night, and we'll catch y'all next week for the finale of Ready to Love.
Good night.